Citizens Forum. Randy Beach, I hear you have something to present.
Good?
Yeah, do you have enough
Good.
room? Okay.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to share my vision proposal of this Grandpa Bear Guardian program. And just to kind of get you a little bit up to speed with who I am, I grew up in southwest Minnesota. I went to college at Southwest State University. After college, I was hired with North Central. Some of you may know North Central Airlines. It became Republic Airlines, then Northwest, and now Delta. I was a flight attendant there for 25 years and trained in first aid, emergency evacuation, hijacking, those kind of critical things. After working with the airline, I was a home builder. And then after that, I built and owned and operated a Beach's Steakhouse in New Richmond, Wisconsin. And during that time, I went back to school in my latter years and studied criminal justice. So after the tank in '08 and lost the business, lost my farm, all my livestock, I decided to we decided to move up here. And so we've been up here for about 10 years. And I was lucky enough to retire from Marvin Windows after the 2020 COVID chaos. So yeah, I've been enjoying retirement, and now I'm embarking on a new project, and I'm glad that you're willing to at least listen to the vision that I have kind of put together for our students, our school, our administration. And so I believe that the program will address some serious gaps that we have in our school security and communication deficiencies. We have been entrusted by our community, parents, guardians, to teach our children the basic truths, that they are responsible to God for the growth and life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Deuteronomy 6 tells us that we are to train up our children in the respect and fear of God, and when they are older, they will not depart from those principles. It's clear to me that in the light of the recent events that we are engaged in a spiritual battle, especially for our children. We have experienced a tragedy of suicide of two of our young men, Hunter Nordloff and Elijah Major. So the mental, emotional hopelessness, silence speaks to our inadequacy for hearing the challenges that our students are dealing with. I'm also reminded of a recent threat to our school that has caused serious concern for our campus security. We were given, I don't know the specifics of the incident, but everyone was called out and the school was evacuated. So there was an issue, and I personally don't know what it was. I'm sure it was a threat of some kind of unforeseen threat. So it's here, it's alive in Baudette. So in conclusion, I am requesting approval from the board to begin the 501c3 accreditation and begin building a team of like-minded supporters to make this program a reality for Lake of the Woods schools. And here's a prototype emblem of the Guardian's uniform, and this proposal is pretty much tells everything as far as background checks and all the things that are expected from the people that will be participating. So this is the Grandpa Bear Guardian logo that will be on the uniform. And on the back of the uniform will be this, to ask me anything, so that as these men, Grandpa Bears, wander the halls and circle the campus, watching the doors, all those kind of things, monitoring the halls. They're available to ask questions of the students, that the students are able to come up and have a conversation. And these are older men grandpa bears over 50. So, they will be trained in the procedures of contacting EMTs, emergency people, evacuation, first aid, CPR, and all those kinds of things. So here is the proposal. And so I don't know if you want to study this for now, and then determine next month if you want me to go forward with it. Shut it down. Any questions? Sure. This is just a rough draft for there's the numbers like money numbers and who's being paid and all that stuff. That's all going to be washed out in negotiations. Like I think the proposal does say that there is one paid person. It would all be dependent on funds that are raised. If we have money to be able to pay someone to do certain things, administrative things, or not. So yeah, it would be a separate organization outside of the responsibility of the school. So we would have our own insurance and our own liability and payroll, those kinds of things. It would be it would be it would be more of the security side, but as it was stated, I think in there that it would be kind of a more of an advocacy for the students to have someone that they feel is in their corner, because they're not feeling like they're being singled out, um, maybe in a disciplinary way or something like that. That they would. I don't know what the responsibilities of your social worker are to do that, but I think that would be more of a mentoring kind of a program, part of it. Well, I don't think there's any reason why the parents could not be totally involved in any kind of conversation that the children would have with the administration of the school.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he was more curious about the, not so much talking with the school, but you're asking, yeah.
be the main, thing, is life experience. That's why I think my focus would be more on an elderly, life experience individual. I mean, it's not like they're going to just be brought in off the street. They're going to be interviewed, vented, and looked at qualifications, history, some of the, life experiences that they've been through. I mean, it isn't like, that they would not be, their heart would not be in the right place to give um, solid advice. Well, I guess where my foundation came from was the street guardians, where these guys would actually be guardians of the street, and they would come alongside police officers and kind of be a liaison between the police and the street to try to defuse activity, gang activity or something that would be more of a applicable example of that kind of thing, I would say, other than the school. I don't know if the schools, I know that there are some schools that have off-campus kind of uh, um, support groups and things like that. But to have someone actually in the school during the school hours, I don't know. I have never heard of it myself.
Yeah, I wasn't sure either whether this is, operated in other schools. I didn't find anything online, and then there was a website here that I tried going to, but it didn't work, so I was confused about that. So that makes more sense to me that this is just something you're trying, implement from the ground up.
Yeah, it would be a ground up. Yep. I mean, we can make it whatever we need to make it to be, but I'm not gonna go into spending a lot of time building a team and going through all the hoops if the council and the school is not on board with doing it.
Anyone else? Okay. One thing real quick, you had mentioned the threat that one time. And Craig and Nate, you guys could probably expand on it too. That was hoaxes were called in to numerous schools. And my understanding of the event is at the time, nobody realized it was a hoax. And our law enforcement's response was, so I understand you guys thought it was real, or whoever was there thought it was real, within minutes. I mean, I can't say just how impressed I am with the sheriff's department for their response when they came in. And again, they thought it was real. At least that was my understanding. We were one of the early ones.
I've been into third grade class to a recreation department, and there was a lockdown at that time. It was very impressive on how each child knew exactly what to do, when to do it, how to do it, things like that. There was no hesitation, there was nothing, everything was like locked down in seconds. So I believe that the administration here has done a very good job of the security of our children and the law enforcement here meeting. I do believe that some of them are even walking the hallways here before school and all this other stuff. So there's a lot going on in the background with the administration with our security.
And how were the children able to process it afterwards? After the incident?
I mean,
Well,
Mayor,
my
you
child,
probably just, I don't want to speak for you, but I believe that, yeah, folks were called in or
Well, in those cases, it would be individual classroom teachers in the elementary would do the debriefing with the children and answer questions. And whatever classroom the high school students would be in, it would be that teacher that they were with. And then as a staff, we look at what was done, how can we improve it, what went well, what do we need to change a little bit, so it happens within the classroom and on the staff level.
And I think actually when that took place, just
It was a lockdown, it was not an evacuation.
Yeah, it was, and I had met with administration at the time too, and talked about, how it went down. We talked about areas we might need to look at, things that went well. We processed it. And then we were getting off topic from your, but I think part of the conversation, clarification-wise important is, I think your core interest, what you're expressing is student safety and always have to be prioritized, we have to find better ways to do it on board, I think, couldn't agree with you more.
I think, I was thinking it would be cool to have a robot dog, a AI robot dog. I don't know if you saw that, but, a robot dog, they can actually determine whether something is real or something is fake. Something, they can actually look at documents and determine whether the document is being presented as an AI document or if it's a real person that's actually doing. So, that's just a future potential with AI. It's getting to be really crazy as to determine what's real and what's not. So, just a concept.
Anything else? Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please see the Finance Committee summary that I passed around just recently. So keep in mind, we're going through audit, so you're going to see some changes from the revenue and expenditures from last month because we're moving things back and forth. You'll continue to see that for another month. So right now, our revenues are as follows. The state revenue is at 45% received. I just made a JE to move some of that revenue back into last year, so it did change a little bit. Federal revenues, 0% received. Local revenues, 0% received. Your total revenues by site: food service, 0.06% received. Food service, 4% received. Community service, 4% received. Debt redemption, 18% received. Our grants for 25-26, Title 401, we are receiving $115,995.69, and we have not spent anything yet this year. Our draw will be completed in October for Q1. The expenditures year to date: salaries and wages, 7% expended. Employee benefits, 5% expended. Purchase services, 24% expended. Supplies and materials, 18% expended. Capital equipment, 6% expended. And the category of other is 36% expended. Your total expenditures by site: food service, 6% expended. Community ed, 14% expended. And debt redemption, 57% expended. Summary of all funds: revenue is at 1% received. Expenditures, 6% received. This part was not updated. So last month we actually had a deficit of $425,752.01. Right now we are actually sitting with a positive amount for the year, but keep in mind we're actually moving some of our revenue back into last year. But right now our financials are looking good. August 31st month end, our cash and investments actually went up. So we have $2,735,777.80 in all our accounts. So financials are stable, looking good. I did just run a analysis through June 30th, and it's looking better than what we budgeted, which we know that, but I don't want to share the numbers yet just because we're getting audited next week. So we should have some more hardcore numbers next month once they go through and split everything out. So the cybersecurity grant revenue will be received next month. I submit qualifying expenses for this year. The total the state will be giving us is $14,753. The site is still open to submit additional requests if we would like. So if we need a new camera or something like that, we can submit it. They'll look at it and let us know. But as of now, I received an email and we will receive $14,753. Our first UFAR submission was completed September 11th as required by the state. The final audited submission is due November 30th. So right now we'll just be working with the auditors and we'll do several submissions until the final one. Our audit is scheduled next Monday through Wednesday. So I've been working on entering JEs, which is basically just shifting expenditures and revenues. I completed our state aid receivable, which just means reconciling what we actually received and what we are supposed to receive. So we are supposed to receive, currently it's another $300,000 in gen ed aid. It's around there. The auditors will look over it. And then we just shifted between last year and this year. And then I also completed another JE, which will just spread out all our revenue between all the finance code and source dimensions. So the auditors will go through those, make sure everything's correct, make sure we're spending everything, and making sure that we meet all the financial reporting requirements with the state. So I will be on site next Monday and Tuesday. We'll finish up Wednesday. I will work remotely that day, and then we'll finish up with a meeting with the business office, Jill, Scott, and I, and Brady Martz, just to review our just very early numbers. And then keep in mind, we'll submit our final data November 30th, and then the actual reports, the actual written draft reports are due to the state December 30th. Our CTE and transportation submissions were completed. And then I'm also working on a census data shell for National Insurance Services, NIS. Usually I do one every year for our long-term disability, but I am seeking quotes for the paid family medical leave, which is effective in January. The initial information I received is that it's going to be lower than the state. We'll see. So hopefully we'll have that next month. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Board committees. Have any board committees meet? Forest? Would be the only one I can think of.
Can I just speak on certified negotiations? So with the teachers, we've had a few meetings, 2, and we meet again in a couple of weeks on a Wednesday to kind of go through some more things.
We've had one.
Yep, we've had one.
Next
And we
one's
have one
October.
coming up end of this week, Friday, Thursday.
Next week?
Next week?
I thought it was October.
I think it's
October 7th or 8th.
There's a red light.
I gotta update my kids.
There's one this week that's
Oh, that's, okay.
That's the first one. That's MSCA is coming up at the same week. So it's
the compass thing.
You're still on.
You're on.
That's right.
Land navigation course.
Yeah, land navigation course, is like maybe setting up something like that, which is the tour involved navigation.
Orienteering.
And I know that my son came home and he was excited because they had to go out to the forest and find things that were not alive and things that were alive. He was telling me all about that, so it was fun. And so the teachers are using the school forest, which is great.
And we can certainly discuss it later. If you guys are interested with that navigation course, I can survey points in so that they are exact if that's of any interest. So coordinate with me if that's something we want to do.
Are there any geocaches?
Yeah, we talked about that.
A lot of times they don't geocaches.
It's still up there.
Well, yeah, there's ones in town that are, I'm not gonna give them away, but yeah. Yep, down in the Beltram and State Forest, they found them.
Yeah, there
All
was
people lost them.
200.
Yeah, that's true.
How much the kids would still remember once we show them and stuff, but I think that land navigation is a very useful tool.
I remember, well, the fifth graders still go to, Grand Portage, best field trip ever, I think, at least that's right. We did.
Deep Portage.
Deep Portage.
Deep Portage.
Sorry.
Altering my memory on that.
Yes.
I think we might have done some stuff. Yeah. Well, anyways, I'm not gonna get off the topic here. Good.
Okay, we'll segue into the superintendent's report then.
Good evening. A couple things to start off with. Student counts at 453. I think that we might have a couple older students that might be transitioning out here or had signed up but haven't actually come because they maybe moved or are in transition. But as of right now, 453, 17 of which are pre-K. Referendum updates. First information session was on 9/15. It went well. Good questions were asked. We have followed up with answers as appropriate. And again, want to thank those of you who were able to be there, especially Boyd, to help answer some questions, and Jerem, and giving some of that historical perspective as well. We are continuing to update our frequently asked questions on the website. I do meet weekly with our communication, our representatives through Kraus and Anderson. They've been supplying a lot of support and coordinating them also with the social media calendar with Lisa, and so that who then updates our site. We have all that scheduled up to the point of the referendum. So regular informational offerings. All required items have been completed as per the timeline, so we are on track and legal with everything at this point. Minnesota paid family medical leave, as Sheena talked about. I'm also working on language with help from MSBA. A lot of us superintendents were waiting to get some model language and working on that, so that to have a policy outlining Minnesota Paid Family Leave Act and the district's 50-50 split with employees. So again, having that in policy and having a few of those pieces spelled out in policy, then, and because it's part of statute, it's nothing that we need to put into contracts or do anything else with there. I did also find out, because there were some questions around if we go with a private company, does that then mean we have to pay all of that? And it was confirmed last week. I was at the Northwest Service Cooperative meeting with other superintendents, and there were representatives there from the Minnesota Administration or Association of School Administrators, Minnesota Rural Education Association, and MSBA, Minnesota School Board Association, and it was confirmed that a district can still split 50-50, even if we go through a private insurance for that. And the benefits there, and I believe Sheena has alluded to this as well, is that that it takes off that work side of things of having to hand figure out when somebody would elect to take Minnesota paid family leave, because that insurance company is doing all of those things. So we save money, and our employees save money as well potentially with it. Custodial, just want to update you there with hiring. with hiring first, I guess I'll start with that. So that's letter B. We've completed 3 interviews and have made offers to all 3 people. All of them are well qualified. One person full-time, another part-time to start, moving to full-time in mid-October, and another person starting in November, potentially as with part-time, but maybe just like Saturdays or 3 Saturdays. So between these different hirings, we're going to greatly reduce that workload for our custodians and get to a staffing level that we want to be at. Also, in an effort to allow our custodial maintenance staff to be easily identifiable and have a more uniform appearance, I've worked with Kyle and the custodial maintenance team in determining the type and style work shirt. I'm going to be facilitating getting the sizes and ordering. Initially, what we're going to do is provide each person with 5 shirts, and that might be a polo or a t-shirt. There's some individual likes and dislikes on some of those, so that's what we're looking at doing. The cost in the whole scheme of things actually is pretty minimal. We'd be looking at like $700 or a little bit less, potentially, embroidered with the logo and their name on the shirt, so it's a more uniform appearance, and just kind of, all of us are professionals in each of the areas we serve, and just wanting to build that up. And again, when we have guests in the building and stuff, it's a little bit more easily identifiable. So, compensatory and federal Title I. I just want to give a heads up on this because we're getting a lot of conversations through our professional organizations. Minnesota is going to be making some cuts to compensatory aid. Compensatory aid are those things such as special education funding that falls under some other pieces too. They're looking at cutting $230 or so million out of the budget, and that's something we're going to find out this year. So we don't know. There's a task force. Timing, we're waiting to see where that timing really plays out. But they are looking at making cuts. We did also receive information at the federal government level. They are looking at making some big cuts to Title I funding. That's another funding area we do get a lot of revenue from. So we're waiting to hear what happens with that. But again, no hard numbers, nothing like that. Just passing on the information so the board's aware. Finally, you'll see in the packet I provided with you some my offerings on superintendent goals and evaluation. Each of those forms you'll see numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. The process I went through to get it to this point for your review, and then whether it's something you decide you want to vote on today or come back maybe with a couple individuals if there's anything you want to get in deeper with or go over further or revise, and then we can bring it back next month. But the goal would be either this month or next month to approve, for the board to approve the goals and the evaluation plan. In getting to this point, I reviewed past evaluation plans that have been done in Lakewood Woods. I also cross-referenced that with the goals and standards based superintendent evaluation. That's the combined work from MSBA and MASA, which I believe the board had based the prior evaluations on before that process. And then I also took into account my entry plan because there are 5 goals associated with the entry plan. And since there's not a baseline for some things, it's a little difficult to try and say increase this by this percentage, if that makes sense. So in there you'll see I've provided 3 goals that both reference the standards and elements within the MSBA MASA evaluation guidebook, along with the existing strategic plan items that exist. Again, that strategic plan, even though it was completed last year, we can still be working out of it. So I tried to cross-reference or crosswalk those pieces with that as well. So under each goal at the bottom, it'll say reference strategic plan goal, etc., etc., etc. And if there's a number missing there, I will get that put in. And then from there, the second document is just for that mid-year evaluation. So the goal would be to do that sometime in December. And then an end-of-year evaluation. So that's form number 3. That's a final summative evaluation. And then form number 4 is the summary of the board's conclusions. So that's what I'm offering as a process and as goals. And so I offer that for your consideration and would ask if you have questions or discussion on this and how you might want to proceed at this point, going
think I reviewed these before, and I like how it's laid out. I just look at some of these, and this is no fault of you here, but it's just tough to appropriately evaluate certain parts of the goals. Like, let's see. Goal 2 here, effectively oversee all financial operations, develop immediate and future budget models, and evaluate budget to ensure alignment with meeting student needs. I feel like it's hard to evaluate that just as, on one of the 3 categories, effective, highly effective, or, without having, numbers to go. I'm just thinking out loud here, Scott, so.
Oh, no offense or anything, no, please.
Go on. And I'm new to this process, so I'll just kind of work through this out loud if I can. Perhaps somebody that's been here. So as far as like certain parts of this, you work directly with Sheena a lot as
Yes.
far as this. So she has perhaps some input that can be shared with us. We might have questions to get feedback on some of that stuff from Sheena, or maybe work with Jill and stuff. So I feel like besides us just being presented this, like I want more of a process for us to obtain that feedback and with those folks that you're working with, before I'm just like, yeah, I think it's all right, and I think in one of the things it's, let's see. Yeah, so like this is what I was thinking here, like so under the budget development maintenance element 2A, for developing, if it's middle of the road, this feedback, decisions are primarily reactive to current needs of the school district, right? So if you're making decisions proactively, we might not always be privy to all of those decisions that you're being made proactively. So how do I evaluate that? Like, without just having a conversation, right? I don't know. When we go through this process, I don't know. I feel like it's the concepts here. I don't know. Maybe folks here don't really want a work session to discuss and actually go over this in more detail.
I think we've done, and Robin, do you remember? I don't think we got together as a group initially. I think we all filled it out and then we kind of talked about it. But yeah, you run into that a lot of, there must be an unobserved type category because it's like, yeah, no, I have no idea type response. And on some of them it was an option, not observed.
I mean, I think this is good, it's just a different format.
Yep, it's a different
to
format.
get used to.
I think it's shorter too, thank
It's
goodness.
shorter.
And this is nothing. I'm not picking on the format or what's what you presented here as far as an option. I'm just trying to figure out how us as board or myself, how do I effectively evaluate things without being reactive to the point. Well, I can say that being that this issue came up, then he must not have met that goal, right? And then we're evaluating you as if it's reactive. I haven't posed an exact question to you yet, Scott, but because it's all thought.
I think we just need to have more discussion probably on these different things to feel comfortable, or for all of us.
I wouldn't mind because I think your evaluation is really, really important. So you know where you stand. We feel confident in meeting your needs and expectations. I think that's where we come together as a team, so understand.
And if there was another column for unknown or,
Yeah, not
I mean,
observed.
I guess then that would be an area where, you would have.
What is the evidence? How did we
I think,
Yeah,
evidence
like, oh,
provided.
they need to know more about
I
this
think
category.
I think maybe that's what it is like a lot of these categories as they come up, it's just like, okay, it's time to sit down and go over this. Perhaps we need to find a way to effectively have it communicated that we're in the loop on some of this stuff.
Well,
You know.
putting down that not observed or something like that would be an effective way of communicating that you're not.
Yeah, and I agree, and that's the truth of it, but I don't think that provides our superintendent feedback on that category. It's like, yeah,
Well,
No, I
you know,
know,
it's an observed,
I
yeah.
know you've been good about having one-on-ones with us, whether it's over the phone for a half hour or you're at school, whatever it might be, but maybe, taking some time in these different categories and
Right.
maybe talking one-on-one with you on that, you know, like on the financial side, I had a bunch of stuff come across my desk and I rejected this, that, and the other thing. You know, just kind of like for me, it would be like a 10,000-foot view. I don't even get into the weeds of the whole thing, because that's where, you're hired for that. But that 10,000-foot view of, here's what I'm doing with the finances, and this is how I come up with all that. That would answer my question.
Right. And understanding too, I mean,
Maybe it's
we
too
have a
early.
business manager.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's responsibility that I hold in making sure that I'm reviewing and going over and understanding and asking questions and ensuring that I think we're working together. So I think that's a legitimate part of this also, is, you know, maybe there's a conversation with Shane where you just ask her, hey, how is that communication? You know, does Scott seem to be proactive, or does he just wait for you to
Yep.
give him stuff? I think those are very legitimate questions. I don't know, maybe that's opening myself up more than I'm supposed to, but I don't think so. I think that's a very appropriate type of feedback to offer. And I'm not I'm not throwing Sheena into this. I'm just opening that as I'm not opposed to something like that, because I think that would be appropriate feedback for the board to receive.
And I appreciate the finance portion of this, because, you know, we do, that's a concern of ours over the years and whatnot, and that's just a good conversation to be around.
And I was just say, and these are all pieces too that fall under superintendent competencies in statute as well. So.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's so important, because the community and the folks, as they should, look at the school board and say, well, what happened? Why did this issue come up? You know, and it's like, well, you know, I didn't know. Well, you're on the school board, you should know, right? And so, I think the feedback before you were even around, Scott, and before I was even a board member, so really a proponent of the feedback coming also from staff, teachers, other administration, from the business end, and reaching out for their insights, which helps us develop that opinion, you know, for the people that are working within it every single day. This on its face, I mean, I think it's great. I think just the question mark in my head is how do we effectively evaluate, or your evaluation to be sure it's productive and
You have to have enough information to make those.
yeah, and some of them, and some of them are a lot easier than others.
I've been a part of organizations who have done, and maybe you're aware of this, it's called a 360-degree review, and often they are hefty, so I would not suggest you do them every year, because they are a lot of work both for you and for Scott and for everybody, but those models exist out there. And so I think they can be a really meaningful way of getting the feedback. So instead of creating the wheel, there are models that you can look into. And like I said, I would not advocate, maybe even right now, like give him a chance to get get himself, ingratiated or like in the community. But there are models that exist that set that up.
Well, you just corresponded how you're going to get into the financials coming up here a lot more, I guess, per se. So, I mean,
And the other thing is, too, Tom, going back to board member Pack's point of the, like with our one-to-ones and how that's communicated, one once we have goals established, that then moving forward gives me those specific areas such as the school board updates and things. Those become the headers in terms of all that type of communication as well. So again, up to the board, but maybe if it sounds like if you want to have a couple members, a little committee, and or 3 members or whatever that might be, to sit to dig into this deeper and just kind of tweak, if you will, or some of those points, and then moving forward. And that's again, whatever works, and whether it's this month or next month, that's fine. But I think it was hard to talk about this until there was some concrete examples in front of you. So.
And actually, in the past, that's kind of what we would do. Have 2 board members would collect and then kind of record on a spreadsheet or whatever everyone's answers, and they were kind of the ones coordinating things. If we want to keep doing it that way, we sure can. However you guys want to do it. I guess I would recommend that, and it sounds like Scott was recommending the same thing. So,
Okay then.
Craig, sounds like you probably have a lot of questions if you want to be on that committee.
Well, I think
And
absolutely.
it wouldn't be a bad
I don't-
idea.
I don't, but, the question is adopting and approving this. I don't have any issue. I mean,
The documents themselves.
looked over it and read it in detail myself. I don't have an issue with this. My question is just segued into,
How to answer
it's
it.
more on our end, right? It's not, it's, yeah. And these are good things to have. And as time goes on, if there's something we're missing, I don't, these are the core elements, I guess you would say, for the performance evaluation. I'm in agreement with how this is.
Yep. And I will agree, even in the past, when similar but different form, the way I did it, I either went off general first-hand knowledge, or I would call at the time it was Jeff Nelson, and I would ask him kind of specific questions based on the questions, and then I would base my answer off of that. So just a couple of ways to go about it.
So I'm going to step away then.
Yeah, no,
And
you're
allow,
fine.
given our time. So.
For sure.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, Mary Birch.
Good evening. As you know, homecoming started, well, I want to say last Friday, because after school we did our kickoff with decorating the hallways and the posters and the dodgeball playoffs, and it worked so well doing it, and in that time frame. And if you were at coronation today, you heard me commend our students, because our hallways, when everybody was done, were like clean. There was no trash left. Everything was picked up. Parents were here to pick up kids, so it was like, oh man, this is going to be a good week, and this is great when everything's so... The kids just all did such a great job. Coronation today, so if you haven't heard, Hallie Holan is our queen, and Dawson Canfield is our king. And rest of the week, well, tomorrow's the big pep fest, so that'll be fun for both elementary and high school, and then dress-up days the rest of the week, and the battle royale in the high school. Craig mentioned the deep portage. That's where our 5th graders will be Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday this week, so big fun 3 days for them. And then with the academic parts of things, our elementary have finished the fast bridge testing, so Title I has started to take place for those kiddos in reading and math, and then high school will start out with the fast bridge testing for those who did not meet or exceed on the MCAs, and this will be for students in grades 6 through 11. So under the READ Act, that is how we are going to address that component. And then after they take the fast bridge and we see where they're at, then we look at what interventions to put in place, and then they will take fast bridge again, I want to say January, February, and then the next steps after that, depending on how they do on that. So like I said, that's all part of the READ Act. And that is all I have, because honestly, it's been a whirlwind getting ready for homecoming, but it's all good.
A lot of energy with the kids when you get to dress up and stuff.
Yeah, it's great. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
And Mike, Jill? Just,
Okay, we're looking for approval to increase our adult meal pricing per MDE's recommendation. They should be $5.05 for lunch, $2.50 for breakfast. We're already at $3 for breakfast, so that can stay the same, but we're at $5 for lunch. So we're looking for that to increase to $5.05. Coming up, we have National School Lunch Week. The theme, which is set for nationally, is Taste the World, your school lunch theme passport. So we have theme meals for that week. It's MEA week, so it's just 3 days. So we'd like to invite you guys to come eat with us. We're excited about it. But $5.05. Staffing, I had put in there that we were good with staff. We actually, as of today, aren't good with staff, so we're looking to hire full-time to refill that position. And then we have the North Star Dinner October 3rd. We've got a couple of big things coming up in October, and that's about all we got.
How many? You might.
Go ahead, Joe.
so why 505 and not like this?
That's what the state said.
That's what the
I know
state,
that's what
I have no idea.
it's recommended, but what that means here,
Making change. Well,
making change, or how do you, how does that?
I was going to ask the same thing. However, most of the adults buying it teachers?
That was my
Yeah.
question, is like, do you, not
It
putting you on the
is.
spot, but about how many meals are we selling per day?
Maybe like 15.
Oh, it's that many, huh?
Yeah.
And
Oh.
do they have like the meal plan?
So they just punch their number in, and it goes on their account, and then
Okay.
they'll load their account. So it
So
doesn't
they're
really
charging
matter.
it, so to speak, they're not
Right.
having to come up with 5 cents right there, $5.
So like
Yeah.
if I was to come at $5,
5 cents.
Sure.
I don't have the number, right?
I think I was thinking the same lines of you. It's like, well, that's, that can make 95 cents
Yeah.
change, but if most of it is digital, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
It is pretty much.
that, when I was reading it at home, I was like, well, just $6. You know what I mean, it's like,
Yeah, but when you have, there's certain
But-
teachers that eat every single day. So like that, $6 would add up. $5.05 is the minimum, so.
in the $5.05, it's actually covering the cost of the meal.
Right.
Yeah. So,
7:04. Anybody need a break? Woody, you okay back there? Okay. We'll roll right into, I'll give people a minute to depart here. Get while the getting's good. All right, we will call the meeting to order at 7:05. Stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Need a motion and a second to approve the September 22nd, 2025 meeting agenda with the addition of item 7, new business, item J, approval to increase adult lunch price from $5 to $5.05.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Johnson, second by Sonstgaard. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Board presenters? Written communications. Old business. And I need a motion and a second to approve the kitchen supervisor appointment with Micah Hack starting the 2025-26 school year with a roll call vote. Boyd Johnson, aye. Yay. Oh, I guess we need a motion and a second.
I'll make a
Motion, I just jumping right into it. So,
I'll second.
second by Severs.
Still
Now
on.
we'll go for the roll call vote. There, any discussion? Hey, you were starting to say something there. You good?
No,
Oh, I thought you were. Okay, sorry. Boyd Johnson, aye. Robin Sonstgaard. Jerem Hack, abstain. Craig Severs.
aye.
Nate Hayes.
Aye.
Kayla Johnson.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Well, we did the roll call, so motion carries. Not too used to those roll call votes. New business. Need a motion and a second to approve the August 25th, 2025 regular board meeting minutes. Motion by Hack. Second by B. Johnson. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to approve the invoices, financial statements, bank reconciliation, wire transfers, and purchase card statement.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Kay Johnson.
I'll second it.
Second, that was Severs. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of personnel appointments. Need a motion and a second to approve the appointments and resignations as presented. Appointments are Pete Jens, full-time custodian, Sarah Solway, paraprofessional. Resignations, Richard Gwennon, bus driver, Julie Newmiller, pool safety attendant. Motion by Sonstgaard.
Well, second.
Second, we'll give it to Hack. Second by Hack. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Trying to confuse me. Printer 1, Jill 0.
I thought it was perfect. It just worked.
Need a motion and a second to approve resolution 2025/2026-05 certifying proposed tax levy for 2025 payable 2026.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Kay Johnson,
I'll second it.
second by Severs. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to approve the bus storage contract with Paul Bunyan Transit. Motion by Sonstgaard,
I'll second it as well.
second by Severs. Any discussion?
They just parked their bus in there. That's pretty much.
You're on.
Yeah, they parked it, and we did in the past, we increased it this year by 2%. Buses, utilizing one of our stalls, which was last month.
Okay.
So my only question is, they have a key fob or something to get into the bus garage, or how do they get in there after hours, or?
I'll be honest, I do not know the answer
Or is
to
there
that
a
question,
physical
other than
key?
they have access from that garage door. I would have to check and see if it's an actual key fob or how that actually works. That's my guess, is it's a key fob, because key fobs are specific.
I know so one of the employees is across from us, so
Okay,
Brian,
okay.
but that doesn't answer the question.
Or it makes it feel a little bit better at least.
Right.
I mean, I'm just wondering as far as like, yeah, access into the buildings or,
Right, but if you, anyway, we can check.
So I will double check on that.
Any more questions or discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to approve the Bears Den contract with Sarah Luchek Foods for the 2025-2026 school year.
Make motion.
Kay Johnson. I'll second. E. Johnson. Any discussion?
they had the same thing last year, right?
Yep.
How long have they been doing it last?
I think it's just been a year or two.
This will be their second year.
Must be going okay.
Yeah,
Doing
yep.
it again.
She's been great to work with.
Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2025/2026-06 appointing election judges for the November 4th, 2025 special election. Motion by Sonstgaard,
I'll second.
second by Hayes. Give him credit this time. Any any discussion? Another roll call vote. Yeah.
This is just certifying.
We're appointing election judges, so
Okay.
there must be a list.
Because I believe
Yeah.
we had the information in our handout, right? And then, but we don't name them specifically in here.
The judges
The motion.
are not in the motion.
Okay.
The judges are named in the resolution.
Okay, okay.
Any more discussion? Then we'll go with roll call vote. Boyd Johnson, aye. Robin Sonstgaard. Jerem Hack. Craig Severs.
Aye.
Nate Hayes.
Aye.
Kayla Johnson.
Aye.
Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to approve the superintendent goals fiscal year 26. Motion by Hack,
I'll second.
second by Kay Johnson. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to approve the superintendent evaluation FY26 plan. Motion by Sonstgaard, second by Severs. Any discussion?
We kind of already discussed it earlier, so.
Got any more discussion?
Nothing for me.
We're good? Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And then need a motion and a second to approve adult lunch set adult lunch cost to $5.05.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Kay Johnson, second by Hack. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Anybody got anything else?
I'm gonna start making a habit when we get to other business to always ask the board if there's anything, at this point that's out of order that you want to direct, myself or the administrative team to be looking at, if there are any questions. That you can come back and next meeting.
No, I guess I would like feedback on TJ's concerns and how we're addressing them.
And we've talked about it a couple times a long time ago, but a quote on this speaker or something.
Yeah. It's, it's eating at me.
I was thinking that too.
Well, even when we have our
get
special meetings, or not our special meetings, but our committee meetings in here as well, it's just driving me nuts. So if we could just get a quote, I know we talked about it when Billy was in here in person,
It's getting worse.
but it's getting, something's getting worse.
I will, I think I can legally check speaker wire. Yeah, I don't know if that falls under the voltage.
I would go with low
wire.
voltage.
Yeah, sounds good.
But we had speaker wire today, it had to fall under, so it's 70 volt. But I think these are low voltage. But, I'll just run some new wire, I'll figure out where it goes and run some new wire. That's possible, but we can troubleshoot if it needed some layering on top.
Okay. Do they has anybody ever used these speakers during?
Is it just us?
One time they used to, does anybody's?
I don't hear.
Like when we have classes in here, no.
I don't hear.
You guys want to get on the same page first?
So like when something's on the projector, that gets fed through those speakers.
Oh, like if you have video.
If there's a video, that gets fed. So I don't think anyone's using a microphone. No.
Keep clipping or while?
I haven't checked it recently, but I know I got some teams that have done game tape in here,
But
so
even
I
with
can
mics
check.
all off, when we've had our meetings and stuff, there's a steady hum.
Yeah, I was gonna say just disconnect the dumb things.
Yeah, get rid of, I mean, something, but
They use it.
I didn't know it went through
and I've had several text messages.
I think so.
Just
Maybe.
It's just my
on the public
computer.
listening too, just like driving them
When
nuts.
I-
Oh, it should be
when I do
sound. Should
Google
be.
Meet.
Yeah.
Should be projected.
I will make sure it's resolved by the next one.
Wasn't expecting that, just
You promise
something.
I promise it.
We'll come back to speakers, like, wires. just
What
ripped
I
off.
don't know is how is this affecting the folks who are listening at home?
They hear
Nate
it.
said they can hear it.
Yeah, I've had messages.
That's just beyond distracting.
Well, and they, especially at the podium, they don't hear.
Yeah, I'd say this is the first one.
Yeah, this is
Yeah, I've never
impressive.
noticed it before, so,
I've noticed it from time to
right?
time.
The most, it's more nibbling or something. Okay, any other business to go at?
No, I think it's important to